Hello, DARTHMOBIUS. I'm glad you watched my recent video, and yes, I do apologize my presentation style did somewhat slip as a direct result of lack of sleep. I am a self-employed individual. Sometimes I need to put in extra hours just so I can make the grade financially speaking, and lots of people are like that. But never mind, I've got myself some sleep, I'm very well nourished, and I'm back on track. Hello. One thing you don't seem to have understood was that particular video that I put out was pointing out one particular thing. Often there can be some kind of like semantic message associated with each and every single video which is put out. It can deal with certain particular issues or certain particular aspects of certain particular issues. And that video was dealing with insanity. Both of the characters that I spoke of in those two works of fiction were in fact insane. They were paranoid. They connected ideas. They took little pieces of information and they put them together to make up one big picture when the connections essentially weren't there, or their sources of information were in fact incorrect. And you, DARTHMOBIUS, is someone who believes in the finalization of the New World Order and considers that the European Union is somehow proof positive of that, as well as the Amero. When is this Amero supposed to be coming into force? It certainly wasn't in February 2009, as certain particular sources suggested. But that's another issue. The fact of the matter is the Amero does not actually exist, and that for, useful economic reasons, global trade has to be increased. And if that means more groups with a singular currency, that would actually be a very, very positive thing. Now let's just think a little more about the European Union itself. What precisely is it? Okay, it's a group of nations who've got one particular currency, and they've also got one particular government out in Brussels. But on the other hand, it's a group of democratic nations, which means that the people have the right to be able to fight against any particular acts which are being passed, and also to be able to create political change. And if the movement is big enough, the government will actually do as they're damn well told. The singular government of Europe has to actually do what the nations within the European Union actually suggest, and is a subordinate position. They have, the president of the European Union has to fulfill the obligations which the nations have imposed upon it. But you seem to think that this is proof of the New World Order. The New World Order concept is that of the entire globe and everyone in it being run and controlled by a singular, elite group. So it's not just a question of the world being united as if the whole world was one nation, but the whole world being controlled by one particular group. That is not happening. What we have in the European Union is greater ability to find out where there is some commonality, find out where there are some differences, and work to resolve those differences in a peaceful manner. The main benefits of the European Union is to try and keep away the possibility of some form of civil war within the European region. So let's try and take this whole argument to the left field, shall we say, and let's say that the entire world was gathered together under the model of the European Union. It would probably have the same effect as the European Union has upon the European states, reducing the likelihood of warfare within the walls of the European Union, or indeed warfare between nations on the global scale. That is a hypothetical position, I grant you. But I haven't actually seen a negative in that. And on top of that, if the rest of the world was based upon the European model, where would the war be? It would be quite likely that economic forces and political forces would take a different track or a different tack, and possibly some of the other battles and fights would occur on the internet. If it does exist, then it would probably be a good thing. Obviously we don't know. We don't quite know how the political future of this planet is going to work out, especially with various factors such as climate change and the fact that there's going to be less land mass, there's going to be more problems with water, and a wide variety of other different issues. Alright? Surely under these circumstances, global cooperation would actually be much more desirable than the nation-state model. So as far as if this New World Order is going to be finalized, it would probably be a good thing and a positive thing. It's nothing to be afraid of. Remember, the characters I was mentioning in the films in question were actually mental. Now what I see when I look at people who are convinced of the reality of the New World Order, and who are convinced of the reality of global depopulation, chemtrails, GMO food being deliberately designed to make you sick, I see the same kind of reasoning patterns as someone who has a serious problem. Alright, the reasoning is the same. The quality of data processing is the same. Where can you get the idea that the New World Order is being formed? You yourself personally, where can you get this idea that it's being formed? Apart from, of course, just that rather unfortunate phrase that George Bush Sr. actually used. Where is your evidence? And how can you say that this is actually, actually happening? And on top of that, how can you say that this is actually happening and it's going to be like bad for us or negative to us, or it's going to corrode democracy? Whereas within the European Union, we're seeing an increase in democracy rather than a corrosion of it. I'm just interested in your thoughts. What are you thinking? Where do you get your ideas from? There's such a thing as paranoia in this world, whether it's caused by a pundit, or whether it's come about by natural means, or chemical means, or dietary means, or illness. Paranoia can exist. Paranoia makes people irrational. Paranoia makes people jump to conclusions. And the conclusions that they jump to can affect their political stance in a way which is inappropriate to the actual political dialogue which is happening in reality. So new political movements, such as like the True Force Loneliness people, end up getting created as a result of sickness. These are things which I am fighting against. Alright? And I'm also fighting against this desire to take certain political legends which were the cause of war and try and bring them into the mainstream, because they have a variety of political or racial or particular groups, ethnic groups message. Do you want to live in a world? Do you personally, whoever's watching this, do you personally want to live in a world where paranoia has become the victor? Do you personally want to live in a world where innocent people get beaten up or killed because of a lie? These are questions you've got to ask yourself.